Okay, so now we're going to talk about the principles of lean. And the principles of lean came from a study done by the MIT in more than 80 different manufacturing plants in the world. So in Japanese manufacturing, US, European, South America. So manufacturing facilities for all over the world, and was the first one that kind of proved how the Toyota production system was better than anyone else with actual collecting data from this assembly factories in terms of quality and productivity and on-time delivery. So collected data, compared, and say here, these are the plants that are doing better, and this is the reason why. So that study called it was published in a book called The Machine That Changed the World. So very interesting, kind of, if you want to know more about the history of the automotive industry as a whole, from crafts production to Ford assembly lines to lean systems. And the following book from the same group of people was called Lean Thinking. Was, okay, we know that the Toyota production system is the one to generate better output than any other system or principles out there. Why is that so good? Why can they do things with less people, with less material, and hit those quality metrics so high, right? So they developed this kind of a way to explain the Lean system. And again, that was in the kind of mid 90s. So from there until here, there's a bunch of things about explaining what Lean is and what Toyota production system is. So if you Google that, put that on Amazon books about Lean or Toyota production system, or Google, you're going to see a million hits. There's many ways to explain that because it was created organically with the company. Toyota never explained it. So, different people found different ways to explain the same thing, and there's still controversy in the literature about that. But these 5 principles are kind of I think it's a good way to generalize, to understand what lean should look like in any kind of business. And that was the key point, right? So the first principle is identify value from the standpoint of a customer. Whatever product you're trying to do, whatever service the company is providing, first thing you have to think about is, okay, what is the customer wants to pay for? What is important for the customer? Okay, does the package, is that the design, is that the on-time delivery, is that the features? What is important for the customer? And that's a key point, because with that you can understand, okay, so these are key features for the customer. What are the steps that I'm doing to actually create that value to the customer? Okay, and then, to know what are the steps, you need to map the value stream, right? The stream that you create the value. And what they figured out, that companies were not doing that. We're not looking at all the steps they're doing to create this value. We're not looking at the customer as well. So many companies, of course, not all of them, but the identifying the value stream is very important, because as I said before, you have activities that add value and activities that non-add value. The non-value added activities, the wastes, are the ones that you want to eliminate. So it's important to understand all the steps to create value, because some of those steps don't add value and they're pure waste, and a lot of them are, right? And that's what they realize, right? We're doing a bunch of things that don't create value to the customer. If we can shrink that, if we can eliminate the waste and make things go and flow more quickly, we're going to have more money faster with less amount of resources. And the best way to do that, or the optimal way to do that, is to eliminate all waste, right? And if you eliminate all waste, you're going to have a continuous flow. You're going to start your process, do all the steps, and deliver to the customer without any stop. And that's the dream of a lean thinker, right? That's the wishful think there. That's what you need to go after. Thinking about how to totally eliminate all the waste. But that is not exactly possible all the time. So you're going to go a little bit at a time, right? So remember, we talk a lot about continuous improvement, right? So how to be a little bit more flow, a little bit more continuous flow, right? Look, what is the direct path between things that you need to do? And okay, so if I create a flow, everything is, as continuous as possible. how much to produce, what is the pace of my production process. And that's the principle number 4, which is a pull production. Means that I'm only going to produce the demand that I have for the demand that I have, right? So I'm not going to produce more than the demand, because if I produce more, what happened? I generated waste. What was the waste? Overproducing, and inventory, and transportation, because I have to move the things around, and I have to have a bigger warehouse, and so that add cost, and waste. So if I can find a way to produce as close as I can from the pull of the customer, I can actually, I'm not producing more than I needed. So I don't have more resource than I need, and I don't have less resource than I need. I have exactly what I need. So think about ways that we can match our production pace with the demand of the customer. And finally, the principle that I talked to you before in the previous videos is seek perfection, which is the Kaizen or continuous improvement approach, right? Everything that I do can be done better. Everything can be criticized. Everything could be done in a better way. So I have to look at my process, look at my steps, and find a way to do things a little bit better. And of course, if I have more continuous flow, less waste, and again, more people involved, as I kind of explained, this notion of getting people involved and people doing their improvements of their own process, if I can train them to do that, you know, a million small improvements are way better than 100 big ones, right? Because then you have the ownership of the people, and they're doing little things that are more predictable, and it's kind of increasing over time. So these are kind of 5 guiding principles. There's a bunch of things. There's another author that talks about 17 principles. So you're going to see a lot of principles. Another way to explain lean is through the house of Toyota. And it was funny, I have some interaction with people that work from Toyota. They never seen the house of Toyota before it was published. So it was not something that was documented and created within Toyota or deployed within Toyota. But everybody knows that as the house of Toyota nowadays, which is a way to organize also these principles, right? And you're going to see a lot of houses out there, right? The Bosch production system has a house. The Electrolux production system has a house. The BMW production system has a house. All these different companies have their production systems that have houses and stuff like that, which is look exactly like this one, just they call their own name. So just, you know, and this usually put the performance metrics on the top. We have 2 pillars. One is called just in time, which is, you know, direct related to what we were talking about, having the right part in the right amount at the right time, right? So making sure your inventory is there when you need it, but only the amount you need it. And the other pillar is Jidoka, which means that it's the quality part. So just in time is the inventory part. Jidoka is the quality part. It means that I'm going to make a good products every time. So I'm going to root cause analysis and proof error and things, which we're going to talk also more about. Making sure that my processes are doing the right thing, making sure that I have the right inventory, and in the middle is making sure that I have the right people, right? Working teams and cross-training and empowering people to look at their process and to do improvements, reduce waste and all that. So this is, and you have some basic principles of visual management and other standardizations that will help kind of sustain this house. So these are kind of 2 explanations that are widely known about a Toyota production system. They're both right. They're just looking things a little bit different.